Hello everyone. Today it will be a bit different type of video. Uh, it will be just casual talk. Mm. The main idea is to discuss on a very basic level on how a coffee shop supervisor work. See, I know that the channel is mainly is finance channel, but this is just we'll just have some broad idea about the concept if somebody is interested to be a supervisor in a restaurant, or maybe somebody wants to open a coffee shop and just want to see the very basics. I think this would help. And then in the end of this presentation we will discuss some Excel sheet exercises. I will make sure to add timestamp to that section because you will see the practical exercise of handling inventory and other matters. Okay, so what does a supervisor do? Supervisor is in the middle between the management and the employees. He will be in the branch, he will support the team, and he will do these several activities. We will cover them later in detail. So these are the seven areas. If you want to look at it from a broader picture, of course, it depends from a company to another. So there will be people in operation, the stock management and purchasing, the sale and cash, the inventory management, sales performance, security standard, and reporting if there is anything to report. So when it comes to daily operation, you will see that a supervisor may prepare schedules. We will do a sample of that later also of how to prepare a schedule, assigning daily responsibilities to the team members, monitoring cleanliness, handling customer problems, managing shift coverage, opening, closing procedure of the shop, supporting the training and training the staff, making sure employees follow the procedures. Then there is customers, marketing, and store standards. This may not happen in all shops, particularly if you are dealing with a big coffee shop chain. They wouldn't, for example, let you do the social media, but for the local shop, they may ask you to help in the marketing. So then you may be asked to get customer feedback, upselling, which is upselling basically if somebody's buying coffee, you may ask him, why don't you take the larger size? If he wants to drink more, of you adding cream, something extra in the sale. And then of course store appearance, cleanliness, and promotions. So when it comes to purchasing and supplier control, a supervisor would want to check the quantities that the company ordered, the amount that they actually received, because your job is to supervise and make sure that things are being delivered properly in terms of quantity, in terms of quality, if there was any delivery issue, and also the pricing. If you notice that the price has increased, so let's say it was previously $4 per coffee bean small bag, for example, and then the new supply is 4.5. So this increase per bag can add up going forward to the inventory control. Of course, you may be asked to check the inventory. Generally, it is done end of the month, but also you may have to check certain items that you would use. For example, let's say here we have milks, which you may have to restock more often than just monthly. So the system would have an expected stock count, but you have to also check the physical count. That's why when you talk to people who are supervisors in a coffee shop, they emphasize a lot about inventory because they have to have stock from their end, and the management will not have access to this information unless that the employee does it. I do understand if you have a system it will show, but still the employee emphasize, oh, by the way, because there is also wastage in the equation, which we'll discuss later also. So how does inventory move? So let's say your beginning balance is 20 cartons of milk. If you buy 10 more, there will be 30. And then in the end of the period, 28. So the 22 were used. And the formula is the beginning plus purchases, but then there is the difference that made the ending balances is the quantity sold and wastage. So generally the quantity sold can be shown in the system. From your POS, you will keep like pressing the product you sell. For example, if you sell a coffee, it will reduce the number of cups or proportion of the milk. But waste is something that you have to do manual. Waste can mean if you, of course, if it's spilled, but it's mainly when customer complain and they return the coffee or and they don't want to pay, this type of thing. Ideally, when you use the POS, whenever you tap, it goes in the accounting system, it goes in the PS system, so they will know the amount of sales that the shop made. And particularly with the cash payment, because you will choose the type of payment when you do the POS, you will, if you see any difference in the actual cash, then here the supervisor should investigate. Sometimes maybe a customer forgets to pay, or customer ordered and the barista was distracted and they talked and they left without paying. This happens. So when there is difference, the supervisor should investigate. And it can also happen with card payments. For example, if somebody paid with a card payment or forget to pay, you will see, because in the card machine you will print a report and you will check the amount that was paid, the total amount paid by card, and in the POS you will see, you will compare it. And by the way, even with delivery platforms, sometimes mistakes happen. Customers cancel the order. This is something the supervisor should be there to handle. Ideally, you should reconcile the figures. Okay, now here is one of the terminologies that is useful for someone who wants to be a barista. I know a barista supervisor. I know you do not have to be an accountant, but the gross profit is something important to know, because it shows how much profit the shop made. So it shows the sales. These are the sales of all the coffee or the product that you sold, whether it's sandwiches, coffee, and everything. And then product cost. The product cost is how much of the inventory was used. And then it will give you the gross profit, which is 1000 minus 500 is 500. And the gross profit margin is 50%. So what's the point of this number of the gross profit margin? Is basically telling you that this coffee that I have is making 50% profit. So this is a simple P&L, which is the income statement basically. Again, you do not have to be an accountant. It's just giving you idea that, see, you will have the total sales. This is the cost, this is gross profit. So now here, if we take the 6,000 and divide it by the 10,000, it's the 60% margin. Here it's salaries. Part of it, let's say, are the barista salaries, and part of it are the back office salaries. So if we really want to make it very technical, we could segregate them and divide and see the ratio, how much the staff and the product are making. See, the idea is when you are dealing with the management, they just want to look at these numbers to know how profitable they are. Because what they will do, they will say, this branch is giving me 60% gross profit margin. but maybe the other branch, let's assume that this was the other branch, it's only giving me 50%. So this one is better. They will have this mentality and they'll say, what are we selling there that is making us more profitable? What are they doing? And as somebody that is a supervisor, you should have idea about these details so you can actually talk to the management and be in line with their thought process. And again, these are the ratios. I'm just trying to repeat them again just to emphasize that if there is something you want to prepare for job interview, for a supervisor position, if you want to grow in this type of field, it's good to know these ratios. Again, the gross profit margin, we discussed this, the labor cost, how much of the sales goes toward employee. This is also a different ratio where you just see how much are staff generating profit. The waste, we will look at it later also, how much percentage of the inventory was lost. And average transaction value is how much each customer pay every once per transaction. We will also look at it later. So the final note, just to wrap things up, is just we as a supervisor you have to remember, are the team organized? Is there a stock? Are the customer happy? Is the shop running properly? Is the cash good? And is the management require any reporting? Now we'll just move to Excel. Let's say we would like to make a staff schedule. Ideally, as a supervisor, you may be asked to prepare a schedule. So to use Excel, there are many cells. You can start anywhere and you can click here. You will see this place, or you can double click here and just write. So for example, let's say employee schedule table. So prepare that. And see, you can expand the cells through here. You have to move the mouse and you will notice that the shape of the mouse change. It changes to this and then you can drag. Anyway, so let's say we want the name of employee and then we'll put the days starting from, let's do Monday, Tuesday, and I'll show you a trick now. Monday and Tuesday, because they are days, they are in sequence. Excel is very smart. He will know that we are talking about the days. So if you highlight these two together, the 2 days, so we know the sequence. It knows that this day and the day next to it. Then you will see this small, let me zoom in. You see this small square here. You can actually drag and you will see the cursor change also. So if you drag, see it shows now Wednesday here. So we want Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it will automatically fill the table for you. Again, if you press from the top, you can highlight the full column. And what I like to do is just double click. It will automatically set up the table. So let's say employee name. So let's call him employee A, B, C, and D. So employee A and B this week will work morning. So we'll take morning shift. And the other guys will work evening. Again, you can do the same trick and you can actually put the whole thing. You highlight the whole column, drag it the same way, and it will give you the days. So as a supervisor, you may be asked to make a schedule, and then you'd have to deal with the employees and tell them, oh, by the way, can you handle evening this day? Can you not? And you schedule and this type of matter. Anyway, back to the table. If you want to make this center, you can, for example, merge and center. You'll see first you click home because you may be in somewhere else. So you click home and then you highlight the full table because it is a full table and just merge center. It will go to the center. You can color it if you like. going to make it blue, and then this is the letter B for bold, and the table, and this is, I will align them left. This is also aligning the text, and you have a table ready. This may be shared for the team on weekly basis to let them know. So this is, let's say, we are in August 15. So yeah, so let's say August week 3, for example, depending on the company. And by the way, when you'll be a supervisor in an established corporation, they should have the template ready. It will be just about filling the timings for the employees, but just exercise, Anyway, so if we start the cycle, see, now we'll focus on inventory matters mainly. So we'll start with the purchasing. So let's say the coffee bean is 1 kg. It's the category is beverage. The supplier name, this is just dummy name, and the unit cost is 4, and the quantity is 90. So ideally, from your end, you will not work on this, but it's just good to know because you may receive this sheet from the purchasing, and what they are doing is they have the July purchases, for example, this month, and how much they bought. And to calculate the full, you would we added now a column here. You can press equal. Equal starts a formula. So basically, you turn Excel into your calculator now. So if plus one, it will be 2. It automatically just turn into calculator. So now I'll just delete this. I'll do equal, and I can choose numbers. So I can actually choose this. You will see D2. D2 is basically D and 2. And I want to multiply because we want to multiply the price per unit times the quantity. It's 360. So it's $360 for the purchases of this month. Then again, Excel is smart. You can just use this drag feature and it will calculate the full thing. See here, it did this D2 times E2, E, and then the row is 2. And then F, let's see D3, E3. This, and it keeps going down. So it's accurate, it's correct. Again, we can do the same for August. It's the same exercise. Another trick, if you want to be very quick, you can highlight the full column, Control D, and it will also drag. Anyway, now let's look at the inventory. Okay, I will remove this to have the exercise because this is ideally, it may not be shown properly. So we have the beginning quantity. This is where you will actually work. You will generally be asked to share the ending quantity. So management will send you the list and tell you what is the available stock. Ideally, what you will do is you will go and count how much coffee bean you have, how much milk, how much vanilla syrup, and you'll just keep adding the numbers here. That's it. So if you know how to make a schedule, you'll already know how to do this. It's just now I'm trying to add little more, so in case they give you full authority, or in case it's not as simple as that, you will have experience in doing more, which I'm sure they will appreciate. So this is the beginning. This is the purchases. So let's say it was 24, they purchased in the period 90, and the actual usage was 86. This is, we found it from where? From the system. This is from the procurement person. They said we bought this. This is from the system. This is your ending balance. But now, if we just look at it from this way, see, this is the beginning. If you remember the formula, beginning plus purchases less the sale. It's 28. Let's call it sale because this is actually sale. It's 28, but you have 26. So you will tell them, oh, by the way, I'll report a waste of two coffee bean bags has been lost in this. So we can do the formula again. Beginning plus purchases less sales, and then we will remove the ending quantity. Ideally, it should be 0 if there is no waste, but there is waste. And then we'll just drag the formula down. Yeah, so see here, there is no waste. The vanilla syrup was not wasted, and the other items also. So this is how you can calculate the waste. And this sheet is something you may be working on. And I just wanted to add extra matter, which is how much is the total price, the total ending balance. If you see the total cost of goods sold, this is related, if you remember, I'll just show you quickly. The total cost of goods sold is related to this item. The actual cost of the coffee sold, of the item sold, and the P&L. This is a little bit, now we're getting into accounting, but why not? If we have the data, why not just show you guys? So ideally, we take the total sales and the waste, and we multiply it by unit cost. This is the average ending cost, and the same formula for the rest. And the total balance, total cost, end of month, this is the inventory, the remaining inventory. It also goes, if you heard about the concept of balance sheet, it goes at the inventory section of the balance sheet because it's the remaining balance. It's the ending balance which we have. You don't need to focus on these much. It's just, I'm trying to give you idea about it. But then you will tell me, how did you arrive at this cost? This is if we are assuming it is the average cost method. If I am assuming that the coffee bean, the 1 kg coffee bean, the whole month, price never changed. But in reality, price change. And another reality, if you work in a coffee shop, you would always sell the old item first. So if you have two milk bottles, you would use the old one first so it doesn't expire, and then you will use the new one. And this takes us to the concept of FIFO or FIFO. It's basically a concept that whatever product you have first, you have to sell it. So in the coffee shop, they may also ask you, always make sure to keep the old item next to the outside of the shelf and keep the new one inside. So you do not use the new one and then the old one expire. So let's just do some exercise here. See, on Excel, usually FIFO is very complicated, and I believe most companies, they would have system to handle it. And also, if they are using Excel, they will just do the average cost, which we did it here. I will also later show you an average cost example. So anyway, let's do this exercise now, FIFO. So a product, first purchase we did, the quantity was 10 and the cost was 4. So we paid 40. Second time, let's do this, we drag it down. This times this is 50. So now, overall, if you take the price 90 and 20, so you bought 20 items for 90. How much each one is? It is 4.5. That's the average method. But in reality, let's say you are doing FIFO method and you sold 15. So let's say now we'll keep this 90 here. Or let's say we sold 5 to make it simpler. If I sell 5 and it's FIFO, you will see the ending total is 70. If I sold 5 and it was reducing from the ending, and by the way, there is a LIFO also, it's used for other industries, you see 65. So there is difference. And this is important because this is a balance sheet number. How much is the ending balance of inventory? And as an accountant, they have to follow one method and they keep. So this is the concept of FIFO. From your side, you do not have to complicate this in your mind. Just know that whatever you bring in first, it leaves first. Let's do another exercise for the average cost. So again, average cost for July, the total will take the July unit cost times the quantity, and August unit cost times the quantity. So how much is the total? Okay, so you take the total July plus total August, and we'll divide it by, see, I'm putting brackets because I am putting them together. I want to put each month plus other month together and then divide it by the quantity. 95 plus 90. So the average is 4.24. But you see, in reality, each month was different. Now let's look at sales. So finished inventory. Sales report would be looking something like this. You would have these type of information because at the end of the day, you will do the gross sales. You will actually have the sales from POS also. So you'll tell them we sold this much, but this is part of discount, refund, loyalty program. This is what the POS generated, and then the cash sales is this, card sale, delivery platform, and the total. Of course, this is the reconciliation, which is you just check how much cash you have in the cash box. If there is difference, there is 0.5, you need to investigate. And that's the idea. And the same thing. Yeah. So there is, after these few days, how many days are these? After this week, you waste $5. So you need to check where did this money go. Of course, this exercise already happens on everyday basis because employees, they will not be able to leave the branch until they do the closing properly, and some staff unfortunately may end up having to pay the difference or call customer if there was an overpayment, if they find the customer, and so on. This is just an interesting ratio that I wanted to share. It is, you have the total number of transactions, and if you have the total number of transactions and you know the total sales, you can get the average sale so that the net income or net proceeds that you received from the POS by the number of transactions. So you are paying $3.5 per transaction. Okay, what is this important? Why is it important for you as a supervisor? Because see, now in this week on average was 3.6. If the coffee was $2.5, so you know that customers on average buy more than one coffee, which is good. But if it was just people are just buying one coffee and they're not spending much, so you would have to suggest suggest your team member that there'll be some upselling so they can sell more and increase the average purchase price. Finally, we discussed this earlier in the slide, but let's just have a look at it quickly. This is sample of P&L. Let's say for 2 different months, we have the sales, cost of goods sold, gross profit, and the expenses from let's say the mixture of back office and the branch which arrive at the net profit. So here are some KPIs, or let's say ratios, that are interesting, that you may want to have a look at and understand. So there is sales growth. Sales growth is how much you increase the sales. So you would take the ending period, which is August, and you will divide it by July. You will see it increased by 1.1. If you want to make it percentage, you do -1 and it will be 10%. So it increased by 10%. So no, oh, we are doing better in August in terms of sale. Let's look at this. You can also see, if you have the figures, you can play around and analyze whatever you like. So let's see this. This one looks, no, it looks less. If you take the net profit of August -1, it is actually -2%. So despite the actual sales, the net profit is less. Anyway, this ratio is something that you just need to keep in mind when discussing with management, whether it's sales growth, whether it's the gross margin, gross profit margin, net profit margin. Gross profit margin is dividing the gross profit divided by the sales. So it's 57 for August. Let's check how profitable it was for July. If you make it in percentage wise, see, it's 60%. It was more profitable in July. So there may be wastage here, or the type of product sold were not profitable. You would investigate, but it's very marginal. 3%, it's fine. So the idea is, if you look at these numbers as a supervisor, over time you build up experience of understanding the ratios, and if you have them, sometimes you understand the thing, but you just need to have the naming of the ratio to communicate it to your management. And this is what I'm trying to help you with. If you just know these terms, it will help you when you communicate to the management, and you let them know that you are aware of how you are supervising the coffee shop. I think we covered everything for this session, and wow, if you made it till here, I'm really happy that you did. And if you really like this type of content, please let me know, so I can produce more of it. Otherwise, we'll just stick with our traditional briefly finance material.